Hello everyone and welcome to episode 180 of Report This Post, the podcast about bad posts and bad people. My name's Geiger and that is Christian.
What's up, Jagoffs?
And we're your hosts with the posts. Every week, Christian, myself, or a listener select a different topic and then find horrible posts for your listening pleasure. This week's topic, as chosen by a listener named Matt, is Pennsylvania.
That's right.
Matt himself.
Billy Matt, Baltimore, Billy via Baltimore via the foot fetish forums. Yes. Yep. My old stomping grounds there where I grew up. Up until almost 8 years ago, I moved down to Florida, which is insane.
Classic move.
Oh yeah, just the snowbird and then make it a permanent move for sure. Yes. Yeah. But Pennsylvania's a great place, and that's where Matt is currently living. So, thanks, Matt.
Yep. And all of Yin's listeners out there.
I don't know how many other Pennsylvania listeners we have. Probably quite a few. I hope.
I think Philly's one of our top markets, if you can believe that or care.
And if it's not, then it should be. Folks, get the word out. Start getting your friends listening.
Yeah, do one of those classic zines all the kids in Philadelphia are doing. Up there in silly Philly. Go to Fishtown.
Yeah, that's right. Bristol.
Sure.
Let's just name places that we know around Philadelphia.
Yeah, I spent, I think, 3 days in Philadelphia in my life, so I don't have a full extensive knowledge of the place. Just know where to get some great cheese sticks, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. Yeah, so my thoughts on Pennsylvania historically has always been just it's that state up there that doesn't really have much interesting to it. It's got the Liberty Bell.
Sure.
Well, and it was much later that I realized that they are mostly known for their horrific sandwiches that are very delicious.
There's a lot of different sandwich things going on in Pennsylvania for sure. Different foodstuffs. Yeah.
Is Pennsylvania the state where it's like hoagie versus grinder versus hero?
Yeah,
There's
depending
like
on what region
ideas.
You're at. Yeah, or just a straight up sub. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's it's very regionalized in that manner. Yes. Also different kinds of pizza throughout the state. Pittsburgh pizza is disgusting. It's like bread dough and then a lot of sauce and then like sometimes cold cheese just on top. So it's just like, yeah. So it'll be baked. The bread or the dough will be baked and then cold toppings on top of it. So the cheese isn't even fucking melted. It's disgusting.
You just don't have to stand out. Just make good pizza, you know? Don't like, wow, geez, let's come up with a fun gimmick for a dumb town.
Nah, I mean, Pittsburgh is just full of retarded food. So I think that's their whole thing, is that they just have to make the dumbest fucking food imaginable.
Well, Matt chose this topic, not just because he's from there, but he had this to say about this topic. I just love this retard state full of moon-eyed simpletons and heroin addicts. They never stop making me laugh, and they make a good donut. So, ringing endorsement for the state and for the episode.
And for one of the hosts. Yeah.
That's right. You're one of those things. I'm not exactly sure which one though.
I believe the Moon-Eyed Simpleton really works. I have never done H, but I'll tell you what, if I ever get my hands on it, look out, because I'm gonna be hooked.
I would say this is probably the closest you've been to starting heroin in your life. Based on how I know things are going over there.
Yeah, when things are at their lowest, start using intravenous drugs, I think is what people usually say.
Get you the highest. That's right. Well, why don't we go ahead and read some damn posts about Yin's state.
Almost. Yeah. Great. So a now deleted user went to our Pennsylvania to post this. Maybe it's because I'm used to living in New Jersey and New York City that I don't get the hype of living in Pennsylvania. Let's start with the people. We are an interracial married couple, and most people stare at us and make comments like this is Alabama in the 50s. I grew up around very different races of people, and I have never had this problem until I moved here. Even when my New York City friends visit, they peep the vibe, and they're white, so I know I'm not crazy. I did not want to move here, but my husband was stationed in Jersey, and it's cheaper. I have some questions. What the hell is there to do here? Is the whole state full of bumpkins and racists? Other than PA being cheaper than Jersey and New York City, what perks are there? I ask this because my husband wants to buy a house here, but I'm willing to sell my soul to go back to my definition of civilization. Help me out here. Methadone Mac commented, moved here from Long Island almost 3 years ago, and I completely feel you on the vibe comment. People can be extremely toxic and obnoxious for like zero reason. Like people will literally have a problem with you just for being from New York and literally hate you, and you had no idea, LOL. I'm up in the mountains. I love the area, but the people are fucking wackos, and not a lot of people notice the vibe that PA is straight fucking toxic.
Wow.
And Hopeful Scholar 3982 replied, so leave. To which Methadone Mac responded, suck my dick.
That's that Pennsylvania attitude.
Yeah.
That's
talk
off,
about
I guess.
Toxic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where it's a huge state. Do you really think everyone in the state is exactly the same because they just happen to live in Pennsylvania versus? I'm assuming this person lives in Philly.
I'm going to say if they're probably right over the bridge there from Jersey.
Yeah.
So right in the suburbs of Philly there. Yeah, which, I mean, if you say that Jersey is your definition of civilization, good God almighty. Okay. I mean, Philadelphia, that side of Philadelphia really is just basically New Jersey anyways. It's the same culture. It's the same horrible accent. So. I
mean, the whole region from Richmond, Virginia to Bangor, Maine is pretty much the same to me, just obnoxious white people. Now,
I will say that people in Pennsylvania really do hate people from New York, and that's true wherever you go. They just think they are like, it is very much like a 1940s, like, oh, here comes Moneybags rolling in from New York City to see our little burg. Isn't that so quaint? Yeah. So
I would say that's every surrounding state around New York City, to be fair.
For the most part, yeah.
There's not a lot of other ones around there. They're like, boy, we sure love those New Yorkers. Including New Yorkers don't like.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's the epicenter of the hate for New York City is New York City itself. So,
well, my one time in Philadelphia, the one thing I made sure to do was check out the Mutter Museum.
The Mutter Museum.
Museum. That's right. I remember there's an umlaut in there somewhere. I checked it out because it's a museum with a bunch of medical oddities and deformities on display.
Sure.
Have you been to it?
I have. Yeah, I believe I went on a school trip one year to there.
I went as a grown-up. And it was pretty neat. I don't really remember anything specifically. I just remember thinking it was neat. But
that's a good review, yeah.
Well, speaking of reviews, I found this Google review for the museum in Philadelphia. Museums should be ethically sound, informative, and respectful to the objects they exhibit. The Mutter Museum is a collection that was meant to be shown only to medical students for the purpose of education. Many of the people whose body parts are on display there donated their bodies to science and education, not a freak show. Yet somehow this museum is open to the public and doesn't even address this glaring issue. The exhibits are just rows and rows of abnormal body parts, from feet with gangrene to infants with horrible birth defects. There is close to no explanation about these objects. They're just there to be gawked at. Even in the gift shop, one cannot escape the feeling that the museum serves only one purpose, to make money. The gift shop sells items like Siamese twin gingerbread cookie cutters or stuffed animal versions of some of the most unfortunate genetic abnormalities, like enlarged colons, making light of affliction that had a huge impact on the lives of those affected. This museum seems at best inconsiderate and badly planned, and at the worst, irresponsible and disrespectful desecration of human remains for the sole purpose of making money. There are so many great museums out there. Don't waste your time and money with this one. Another one-star review. Disturbing at best, without question, between the exhibits and the patrons, most of which I would classify as sick or perverted. One of the most psychotic experiences I've ever had. There is simply no reason for this, quote, museum to be open to the public. For God's sake, these were human lives, subject to the medieval and archaic form of medicine practiced over 100 years ago. Shut the doors, leave this for doctors and their students, not the public. And, by the way, I was attending this for a student of the healing arts, so bug off. Don't really understand that one. And here's one more one-star review. Pro, so fun. Con, very short time.
Sure, yeah.
So it was very fun, and that gives it a 1 star.
It was too short, though.
I guess so. I don't remember it being especially short, which is the other thing. I guess this is one of those perverts that likes gawking at these deformed freaks.
Yeah, it's no American Museum of Natural History, which takes over a day to get through. But it's not. Yeah, 3,000
I have no idea
specimens.
what a museum length should be. I've been to 3. That's more than enough.
This is one of them. Yeah, I do like that first review that's saying like we need to show respect to the corpse of the 100-year-old baby with a foot growing out of his head. Not just gawk at it for the freak specimen that it is. So, I don't know, man. It is part of a college too. So the money going to that is also supporting the physicians, the College of Physicians of Philadelphia. So, don't know what you want. If you would like, there are tons of other museums right in Philly proper. If you would like to go, there's a Natural History Museum, and right around the corner from that is the Art Museum. So go check those out.
Great, I will.
Hey, speaking of museum and the arts, Philly's home to a lot of historical pieces, such as the Liberty Bell and the Love Statue. But probably the one it's most known for is the statue of Rocky Balboa that resides at the bottom of the steps of the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Mm-hmm. Here's a review from TripAdvisor by Museum Store Shopper. Philly's inferiority complex on display. Imagine if every movie film site in New York or LA had a statue. Over 40 years ago, a movie was made with a museum as a backdrop. Only in Philadelphia could the appearance in a movie completely usurp the museum itself or the collections it contains. Imagine, for example, if the Louvre or the Metropolitan Museum of Art had to struggle to compete with all the many movies in which scenes are shot at that location. It's utterly incomprehensible, I've often said, that Philly has a chip on its shoulder for always losing a competition against New York or D.C. or someplace, while those cities continue to on completely unaware that anyone is trying to compete with them. It's sad. The Rocky sculpture is the summary of this sad non-competition and the pathos of the city's struggle. What other city counts a scene from a 40-year-old movie as a tourist site and memorializes it with a bronze sculpture? This got 1 star.
Yeah, I would say it is pretty lame in a lot of ways. Yeah, not even a real thing that happened do they memorialize.
Yeah, they do be loving that Rocky statue, though. So much so that they moved it from the top of the stairs, where you normally have to run up to see it, to the bottom, so a bunch of great big fat people could get their picture taken with it, too.
So that's cool. That was awfully kind of him. Really in the spirit of the movie, I would say. Just give up as soon as before you even. You see that statue up there on those steps? Don't even go close to it, dude. We'll bring it to you.
I've run up those steps many times. And there's always somebody running up those steps.
Still have never seen Rocky.
Never seen Rocky, really?
None of them, I don't think. Never interested me in any way.
Yeah, you're not a Stallone guy. I can get that. I can appreciate that.
Yeah. Like I never watched any of the Rambo films either. So, and I certainly remember a bunch of jokes about Rocky and Rambo as a kid. And references, and I would pretend I knew about it.
Me, whenever anybody mentioned Jason Voorhees, just like, yep, I know what that means. Mm-hmm. Not letting on that I was absolutely terrified of the Friday the 13th movies.
Man, when they would play all those Friday the 13th movies every Friday the 13th on the USA Network,
sure,
it was like a holiday to me.
Just watching extremely edited versions of 80s slasher movies.
Yeah, that's probably how I was able to stomach a lot of it. But we'll talk about that during the. Wait, we already did a horror movies episode, didn't we?
We've done a couple, I think.
I found this article from 2014 over on outsports.com, written by a Sid Ziegler.
Okay.
Quarterback Mark Sanchez promised that if the Philadelphia Eagles won their Monday Night Football game against the Carolina Panthers, he would head down to Pat's and Geno's for 2 traditional Philly cheesesteaks. The problem is that one of those longtime institutions, Geno's, is a symbol of racism and xenophobia to many, with a sign on the window that demands customers to order in English proclaiming, "I want my country back," and "This is America." While some claim that this is, quote, just about a language and not racist, it was posted specifically in response to the immigration debate about a largely Hispanic immigration. Now, full disclosure here, last month I was in Philadelphia for the gay Super Bowl. I was told to go to Pat's and Geno's for a taste of Philly. In fact, the gay Super Bowl organizers pointed out all of the participants that way. It was only after buying and tasting Geno's that I had any inkling of the sign. Maybe Sanchez didn't know that Geno's is a racist, xenophobic business, but you'd think that living in Philadelphia for a few months and promising to head down there to eat some of the food, one of his handlers or someone would have told him about the sign. It's hard to believe he didn't see it. So, the gay Super Bowl isn't just what nerds online would call the regular Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
I guess it's actually a thing. I'm Googling it, and I don't really see anything for it, so I don't know what the hell this guy is. Was that just the name of some orgy he went to?
The only thing I'm seeing is Ari Shaffir's 2014 gay Super Bowl. Oh, is that what people call the Oscars?
That's
okay.
Right. I just realized that. That's okay. You got me there. That's funny.
They got their own codes now?
We're allowing them to talk like this? To say things that we don't understand?
Good Lord. So the Oscars were in Philadelphia in 2014? That's rough.
Well, that's also not true.
Because they're always in LA, right? Is that not?
It's never not been in LA. Or New York, I would assume. It's never going to be in Philly.
It's at that big Chinese restaurant that they have all those lights outside of. That's where they do the
Panda Express, yeah.
Hey, speaking of football, which I guess we were.
Very, very sort of indirectly, but yeah.
An article about the longtime Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger and his off-field activities got shared over to our NFL.
What are his off-the-field activities exactly?
I believe he sexually assaults women mostly.
That's right. Yeah. Well, Po Body's perfect.
The lazy human being who has a Steelers flair badge on his profile commented, Love how, quote, innocent until proven guilty, quote, is just a myth nowadays. Literally, the last 4 presidents have been accused of rape, yet that doesn't change their position. Is Big Ben a great guy? I don't know, I've never met him, but in his early years, he kind of seemed like an ass. But in his later years, he really tried being a better person. That is what we should remember Ben for. And Fatty McBlobicus, who identifies as being on the Bengals bandwagon, replied, God, I love America. Rich people being sheltered from the consequences of their actions because we fetishize people who throw a fucking ball for a living. Absolute piece of shit. Should have been in prison a long time ago. Just an absolute scumbag of a human. And Lizard Cotton Candy responded, don't be mad he owned the Bengals for 17 years.
That's true.
That's the important thing.
Yeah. Fetishizing people who throw a fucking ball for a living. And yet posting on a forum about football, which you don't have to do.
Hold on a tick. Yeah.
Yeah, just stop doing that. Who is this? What's this guy's deal? This Flatty McBlobicus. Bengals just decided to be a Bengals fan when they're good. Okay. That's interesting. And then just to tell people that, too.
This was their year, though, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to decide who my team is until right around the Super Bowl.
Well, you were a Rams guy 2 years ago.
Right. Well, that's different. I'm allowed to grow and change. Found this over on our Philadelphia. The overbearing security team at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. My husband and our children visited the museum last Friday. When we entered an exhibit on the second floor, a guard immediately came up to our 13-year-old daughter and told her that she could not wear her backpack, on her back, but could only wear it on one side or in front of her. We had no idea what reason this was for this demand, but she complied. Then, when we were attempting to look at the art on the walls, 2 guards came up to us and told us we were standing too close even though there were no rope there or any other indication of how far away we should stand from the art. My husband and I both tried to tell them that there was no rope in the area and nothing written to tell us how far away we should have stood. At no time did we touch or try to touch the artwork. If they want people to stand a certain distance away from the artwork, why don't they put up signs and retrain the security details so that people can enjoy the museum without being harassed? And Mustang 1 said, I can't speak to how close you should or shouldn't get from artwork, but I would postulate there's a socially accepted distance of at least 3 feet. And the OP responded, so clearly I'm supposed to be a mind reader and know what the, quote, socially accepted distance is. God forbid they actually post something, put a line on the floor, whatever. More fun for the elites to fuck with the populace. And another user said, the backpack rule is common at most museums, along with anything hanging off your back or draped behind you. The concern is backing into a work of art or accidentally hooking a work of art and damaging it without realizing before it's too late. And the OP said, okay, so by that logic, you shouldn't let any fat people into the museum either. What's troubling me is that this board has so many fascists in it. Not the town I knew and loved as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, fascism is people telling me about social niceties while I'm out and about, stumbling around like I'm in some sort of National Lampoon's Family Vacation movie. Just crashing around
some
the fucking
Mr. Magoo shit here. Hey.
Oh, that was good. I like that.
But like, especially just some wildly disinterested 13-year-old with 3 AirPods and 2 iPads.
And the
doesn't give a shit.
Largest Hello Kitty backpack.
Yeah, just stumbling around, doesn't care. Parents that are getting real pissed off at these fascist security guards. And these enablers on Reddit saying, yeah, you probably shouldn't wear a backpack to the museum.
Yeah, and the funny thing to talk about, like Philly being like not the town I live, like the town where people will tell you to go fuck yourself if you just look at them while you're walking down the street. It's somehow a nastier New York. It's like horrible, awful people, but we love them, don't we? Let's go. Let's do a live show in Philadelphia.
Yeah, there's a good spot there that we could do.
8 people come out. I could probably name them all.
Yeah, I could think of several that we know from there that would definitely be there, and that's about it.
It'll be a fun, real intimate affair.
Hey, if you want the full episode with like an hour extra of posts or whatever, patreon.com/reportthispost. Just a couple bucks a month, and you'll get every single week, just like that. A lot more posts.